everybody, and welcome to this. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Ladies Corner Panels with me. And welcome to this session today, which is on COVID 19. How have you done? So, first of all, before we get into, like the graphs, let's find out who's here. Would you like to introduce yourself, Totun?
Hello, everybody. My name is Dotsun Ayodele. I live out in Calgary, Alberta, and I am here as somebody who has survived having the COVID virus and lived to tell the tale.
Thank you so much for joining us. You're courageous. Thank you so much for your courage to come up and share your story with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emmanuel, would you like to share your quick introduction with us?
Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Emmanuel. I am a youth program manager at the Africa Center, and I'm here to share some of the ways in which we at the center have, supported the community tackling COVID-19 and some of those experiences.
Thank you so much. We really need people to hear how, different community groups are actually supporting the community. And it's not just the government who's doing stuff, but there's a lot of people who are involved in supporting the communities that we're in. Thank you so much for joining us, Emmanuel. Hi, Lola. I'm so excited to have you because you are our expert on this panel. And so, I just would like you to give a quick introduction.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name is Lola Olorunfemi. I live in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm a nurse and I practice nursing, and I teach also. I teach nursing students as a way of giving back to the community and to the profession as well. And of course, I'm a mother and a wife, and of course, we've been part of the front line during COVID moments. I have my own.
Thank
business.
you so much, Lola. Yeah. I mean, the work that all of you nurse practitioners and frontline workers have done has saved so many people's lives and has kept the community going. We are so grateful for all the great sacrifices that you have made to be there and do what you have to do. Thank you so much for that. And we will surely hear a little bit more of your expertise and how you've experienced this whole pandemic that has hit the whole world. So we would love to hear that part. I want to first actually ask Dotun what his experience was like when he first contracted this virus, and how did he deal with the whole the cycle of being infected and then getting through it and coming out of it.
So mine was a pretty interesting situation because I had been, working and living, even though COVID had been around since like March last year. This happened to me March this year, so a year in, right? And I felt I had put in all the stops in place. I had sanitizers in my car, I had in the house, I washed my hands regularly. I wore a mask everywhere. So as far as I was concerned, I had all the necessary stops in place to protect myself. So one day I went to the shared workspace where I work from time to time, and somebody just mentioned it in passing that there's somebody who worked here last week who called in to say they had interacted with somebody else who had tested positive for the virus. And that was a Tuesday. The person tested positive on a Monday, but the person I was in contact with hadn't been tested. So on the back of that notice, I just decided, let's just self-isolate and see how this goes. And I think that was my saving grace. Because by the time by 2 days later, the person was confirmed positive. I got my test.
Oh my goodness, that's scary.
Yeah, and then I got tested on the following Sunday, which was like 5 days in, right? And then my results on Tuesday confirmed that I was positive as well. However, I tested positive for a variant. So
wow.
Suddenly I had no idea where I got it from. I was just like, okay, if I got it from where I thought I did, then it shouldn't be a variant. So I had absolutely no frame of reference and no way to really contact trace. All I could say is, okay, these are the 3 places I go. I work here, I live here, and I go to church here. Those are the 3 places I have been in the last week and a half prior to my being tested. But my contact tracing wasn't too difficult because I had isolated myself for, by that time, six days, right? So that made things pretty easy for me. Now, in terms of how I felt, I think by the 3rd day, by the time I got the news that the person tested positive, I had started to feel the cold chills. I had started to get the fever. Yeah, I grew up in Nigeria, so fever is not strange. Malaria comes with fever, so it feels very similar to malaria. You know, it's cold chills, your temperature is going through the roof, and all that kind of thing. But through it all, I think
all tropical countries, we have the same kind of, we get fever all the time, we get cold all the time. So there is nothing very, very new about that experience. But what was different from your regular cold and fever?
I think it was a lot more intense, right? As in, probably by the day I got my result, right? The fever was not just in the night anymore. I would feel it during the day. I'll just sit around the house and have goosebumps all over myself, right? And then I work out. I'm fairly active that way.
What happened to your appetite? Did you have any problem with eating?
No, I had no eating problems. I ate like
interesting.
I ate like a horse throughout the period. So eating was not a problem.
That's hilarious.
The main challenge I faced was I work out for typically around 20-30 minutes on a steady every day. When I hit the 20th minute during that period, I'd start to feel the shortness of breath. That was when I was like, okay, you know what? This isn't just a fever. This is actually COVID. And the test confirmed it, and then I started to load up on all the antioxidants. So I had ginger, I had garlic, I had lemons, I had I'm not very good with the multivitamins. I have them, maybe I should take them once or twice a day. I take them once or twice every 2 or 3 days. So during that period, I was like on point every day. I had my vitamin D's and I had all my gummies and all that stuff. But I think I'm most grateful for the fact that I didn't lose my appetite. So I ate well and my body was able to deal with the virus eventually. But yes, the breathing part was where it really got me. That was like, okay, this is serious. This is a bit serious now.
So thank you so much for that story. It is really helpful for everybody to know how it progresses, but in every person it's different, and it's treating each person differently. So some people lose their appetite, they don't get a smell or taste, and it's very hard to eat when you don't have a taste, right? So it's really nice that, you were spared that and you could continue to eat well. That's awesome. I'm so glad that, you didn't have to go through that. However, when were you completely cleared of this? From the time you got it, you were confirmed, to the time you knew for sure you didn't have it?
So I started isolating on the 13th of April, I believe. It was a Tuesday. I had no idea. I was just like, it was my starting to isolate was more of a precaution. The following Monday, which was the 19th, was when my result came out and said it was positive. But by the time I gave them the backstory, AHS said I was cleared to go out from the 27th. And I started going out on the 28th, by which time I still had a bit of a cough. My breathing was not as shallow anymore. I was starting to get my breathing back fully. There was no more fever. There was no more chills. The last symptom to go was a cough. I think the cough still took probably maybe another 5-6 days after I was cleared before I actually stopped really hacking badly. But apart from, I think the cough was there for a bit, maybe like another week after I was cleared to go out. And I saw my doctor, and she was like, "Yes, the cough is just was more of like an after effect. The body's still trying to recover from the effect of the virus, but as far as she was concerned, after being in isolation for 14 days, I was cleared to go out again."
Perfect. Thank you so much. I mean, you are a victor in this case, like
Yeah.
you actually fought the variant, which is like supposed to be the scary one.
Yes, I'm
So
grateful. I'm
on
grateful I'm here to tell the story.
we are grateful to have you. Thank you so much because it gives us so much confidence, that we can go through this, like if this happens to one of us. I just want to ask Lola because she's actually experienced everything firsthand with so many patients. I'm sure she can give us a little more detail on how different people went through it, and everybody's situation was different, right, Lola? Can't hear you, Lola. Please turn
Okay,
on your mic.
I was muted. Well, I had people that were working the front, like ICU. It was a lot,
Yeah.
My husband is a physician too, so he was seeing patients every time. So we were both quite exposed from time to time during the COVID season. And to be honest with you, what Dr. said, it's not an exaggeration. Your respiratory system will be majorly compromised. And the duration for, the severity, I think that's what I should say. The severity, it varies. Some people have a mild, he was able to eat. So I would think he probably had a mild symptom. For people that had moderate to severe, the severe one, they definitely have to be in the hospital, and we put them on the ventilator, and they have extreme difficulty breathing. For those that have moderate one, they can't eat, their appetite is gone, they can't smell. Some of the people, it affects their kidney function, their urine color is gone, hydrate, because they can't eat, it shuts down a lot of things. And it depends even if they have an existing condition that is like smoking, if they're a smoker, if they have like a stage 1 heart disease, if they have something going on before. So it attacks major organs. And for mild people, it takes average of 14 days. But for the moderate one, it could take longer. And the last thing to go away is definitely the cough. And you will feel, most of the things that most of the common complaints that we heard was those that had, every time they cough, they feel like there's something tugging on their lungs because the alveoli are already compromised. So there's no adequate air exchange. So every little step takes like their energy out, flat out.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, so what kind of, like treatments other than ventilate and other than putting your, patients on a ventilator, did you like have to give to
It got to
the
a
COVID
point. Yeah, it got to a point that because my husband was on the front line too, and I teach at the university, it got to a point that I had to stay home because the kids were home as well. I had to do homeschool, and I just teach nursing students. I taught them online, and we can do some virtual learning and the likes of that. But some of the major medications they were given some steroids, of course, to help them breathe as well. They gave them some, some immune boosting medication, and definitely the vitamin C and all of that stuff were pumped. The zinc oxide and the likes were pumped into them, and the more of that. So at the doctor's discretion, but it was a big deal in the hospital and complete isolation.
So when you went in, was there a fear of, contracting it yourself?
To be honest with you, the fear for a healthcare professional is not just like you're afraid mentally, physically, and you don't know, you don't want to take it home. You don't want to give other nurses. You don't want to give your spouse. The fear is there. But, that's what we do as healthcare professional, that we have to have that poker face because we are trying to help. We have to be there for the patient and be there to protect them. If not, nobody's there, right? And the most painful part is when you have a patient, you have 4 deaths on one shift. You have like 4 or 6 different patients pass on and died on your shift. And
So hard.
do, right? And some of them, their families cannot be there. So sometimes you call them on the phone. Some of them, you can't even FaceTime. Everything you take into the room, you have to don and doff. Like, it was so difficult. And self-care was a thing that we had to do as nurses. And after a while, you have to come home and find things to unwind your mind or refuel yourself in the day. So the fear was there. Yeah.
It's literally like, talking about being on a war front. I mean, I think that's how the frontline workers were working, literally like the infantry of an army. They were right there, seeing so many people die, and literally having to, it's so hard. So I'm really grateful to have you here, and you haven't contracted it. So I think thanks be to our God, which has kept everybody safe.
Yeah,
so we
100.
present ourselves and our stories to the community. So Emmanuel, let me come to you, because I know that the Africa Center was at the head of starting a vaccination program for people, right? So can you explain how the Africa Center started that, why they started it, and which communities do they serve?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here, Mary. And it's really humbling to hear some of the stories, not only from someone who has survived a variant, but also someone who has been at the forefront in the front lines fighting COVID right from the onset. So thanks to both of you, for contributing to the knowledge that we gain from this, and also thanks especially to Lola for your efforts, including the sacrifice that you and your family have made to protect people in the community. So from Africa Center, right from the onset at the beginning, we as a community knew that we had to lead the charge with supporting our community members. We've done it right from the onset through different mediums. Right last year, we, in partnership with other community organizations, formed the Africa Diaspora Food Initiative because we knew that a lot of community members were struggling with food when it came to things like the lockdown. There was a lot of economic impact. So a lot of people were not making the same amounts of money that they were making prior to COVID.
Yeah.
We knew that there was a lot of a lot of people now, especially a lot of kids who may have been dependent on like foods and lunch at school or something like that. So a lot of those things that we never knew were happening, we now started to see a big impact from COVID-19. And so we formed that food initiative to tackle COVID. We did it from a more cultural standpoint, where we were providing cultural foods to people that they could not find those type of foods at places like food bank or any other food security areas. So that was one area that we targeted. Secondly, as time went on, we formed another collaborative with 13 other organizations, and that was called the Edmonton Rapid Response Collective. And that collective is supposed to target COVID positive people specifically. And I mean, speaking to the situation Dotun found himself, he had to isolate for about maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm sure he was able to, he is more maybe lucky to have food at home, or things to be able to take care of himself. But there are all a lot of different families that are in different situations that were not that lucky. And so imagine having to isolate for weeks and not being able to go shopping or have anybody to cater to you, or maybe have anybody to talk to, because the situation was impacting your mental health. And so through the ECRRC, we targeted specifically COVID-19 positive people and people isolating, provided food support, we provided income support. We're also providing mental health support.
Oh, that's awesome. Hats off to you. I mean, how many families would you say that you were able to support? And
Oh,
what is the
like
duration?
it's ongoing, and like I said, we're targeting through the ECRC more people that are COVID positive. So far, I would say we've supported more than 1,000 people through the initiative, and that's a combination of food support, a combination of mental health support, and a combination of income support. And we only just launched, I think, at the tail end of February. So we're still, ramping up and providing support to people affected by COVID. For the Africa Diaspora Food Initiative, at last count, I would say we were more than 6,000 people supported directly just with food. So that was where we were with by the end of May. Sorry, at the end of March. But we're still doing that as well, and as well we're still doing ECRC, knowing that this COVID will be with us until at least December. In addition to that, Africa Center, in partnership with Edmonton Mennonite Center and C5 Hub, came together and wanted to battle and tackle vaccine hesitancy. Now, that is where the vaccine clinics come in. So we looked at the communities that we serve. A lot of people don't really trust vaccines. I mean, it comes from historical affiliation, looking at history of vaccines with experimentation on Black communities, and just the large mistrust when it comes to healthcare, right? So we figured that our community that access us and that we've supported through the pandemic would have more trust, would feel more comfortable coming to us, would feel more connected, knowing that they can pick up the phone, call the Africa Center, C5 or EMCN, and ask questions around the vaccine and feel confident that we're telling them the truth, right? And so that played a huge part in it. And since we started about 3 weeks ago, we've vaccinated more than, I would say, almost 300 people who've come here for their first shots. So we're not even talking about second shots here. Talking about people who, were brave and felt confident and felt, safe to come to us and get their first shots. And we started with the Moderna shot, and now we're giving the Pfizer shots. So that's really where we started, and these are the ways in which we've been able to support our community through this pandemic period.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm going back to Lola to kind of explain about what do you think, Lola, as a person who's actually worked in this, like front lines, actually dealing with active cases. Do you think that what the government restrictions were, they were appropriate? Do you have like some suggestions for the government? What do you think was good and what was not so good? Maybe it could have been better.
To be honest with you, personally, I think the government shutdown was appropriate, because I was livid with, to see some people thinking COVID was a lie, like seeing people die every day, having students, literally having anxiety attack because, they just, you just call them to tell them, sorry, you can't come for clinical today because the last patient you took care of just tested, or the last nurse you worked with tested positive. I mean, it's heart-wrenching. I think economically, you might say, it's not a good move, but you can only make money when you're alive. So I think we've seen the people dying, we've seen families, mental health crushed to zero. I think shutting everything down, like everybody just stay isolated, was a good move. It sounds selfish, but the more people just mingle, and the more I think some people don't believe in it, some people don't believe in masks. It was just too much going on that the priority of saving saving lives has to be the priority. So, I really appreciate what Emmanuel they are doing about the vaccination. My husband and myself have taken it. Of course, there's no way we can work if we don't take that. My teenage boys have taken it as well, and I know that as research is going on regarding the side effects and the likes and all of this thing, we need to understand that staying safe and staying alive is a priority here. So I will advise people to go get vaccinated and also continue. It's not yet party time yet, so no party time as usual. Let's be cautious as as we progress in eradicating this thing, because it is serious. A lot of families have lost loved ones, and that's why on the news yesterday. In 2 days, there were 55 EMS calls related to opioid overdose.
Wow.
In 2 days. So these are the statistics that we see and we know. People are struggling mentally, having lost jobs, no food, having lost a family member. Some of them have lost one, some of them have lost two. I've had a patient that the dad just committed suicide, and now this is the mom in the this is the mother in the hospital. And so people are struggling, and this is real. So for those that just need to be calm and get educated, that this world is for all of us. I'm yet to see anyone born in planet Pluto or Saturn or Jupiter or wherever. We are all in this planet Earth, and as we sort this thing out, people need to understand and just take those baby steps with us.
Do you think that this is going to get finally all done this year, or do you see this going further than 2021?
Yesterday, I was talking to a couple of hospital directors in the U.S. They were telling me at least 60% of people, 70% of U.S. is vaccinated. So that's a plus, because we have influx of Americans and Canadians back and forth across the border, although the border is closed now. If you look at the tweet that Dr. Enshaw posted, I think now they're saying that there's evidence that there could be a side effect of cardiac-related complication or mild with the vaccine. So it is advisable. I think it is advisable that we know the things we need to watch out for. We know the things we need to educate people about as we progress with this thing. I'm not sure that we will have it completely done by December, but I know we will have a major improvement by December. We will know where we're going. We have a sense of direction. We will be able to put down those numbers of death and related to COVID. And then maybe we can start talking about mental health and the likes, which will come out because those are masked down now because of COVID.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lola. I don't think either that December will be the end of COVID. We will have it living with us, I think, for a while. And so it's important for people to vaccinate. And there are still people in Alberta who believe this is a lie. And there was one priest from Grace Life Church who got arrested for getting his community together. And I find it really shocking that, people who say that they are followers of God, they believe that, God is going to take care of them. And there's a huge pandemic in the world going on. So it's kind of funny because that people actually call and invite trouble in their own church communities. To me, that is something that I just cannot accept. And so basically, we're going to live with this. So please take this seriously. The restrictions are not lifted. And everybody's saying, oh, the restrictions are lifted. But it's only for number of people who are meeting outside. Still, people are not meeting inside any closed spaces. And you still have to wear your mask. You still have to wash your hands. You still have to maintain physical distance. So there is not a huge relaxation in restrictions, except the number of people meeting outside in open spaces is allowed a little more than previously. That's the only change that has happened. So I don't know why people are all getting excited about meeting and gathering. And it doesn't make sense. I know we are social beings and we all like to meet our friends and families, and we want to do that. But unless people's lives are not going every day, we can't do that, and we have to accept this hard fact. Even today, when I was looking at the numbers, there were like 5 deaths or something. I'm thinking that there is no change. I mean, why are people getting so excited about meeting when there is not much change since the last 6 months? There's not been major change. Every day there's at least 200, 300 new cases coming out, and there is like 4, 5 people dying. So how is it like it's not changed too much? So please don't. It's not time for jubilation yet. We all have to get our second dose, and we have to take precautions till then. So
Right.
I just want to thank this wonderful panel for all the work they did. I want to thank Dotan for his courage to share his story. Thank you so much, Dotan. Thanks, Emmanuel, for the awesome work you do with Africa Center and getting people to trust the process and to come in and take vaccinations. It's so critical to this whole community surviving this.
Yes.
And Lola, I can't thank you enough for all the wonderful work you do, because there may be so many people who are praying for you for the support that they've received from you when at their most critical time. So you were the hand of God in so many people's lives. So thank you for being that.
Oh my God. Well, thank you. Another thing that I did and I made that enforceable, that I would advise everyone to do, is even now things are not lifted yet. Take your vitamins every day.
Yep.
Everyone in my family, gonna buy your zinc. Take that every day. Your vitamin C and D3, take that every day. Those ones, make sure as you're taking breakfast, you take those. Your zinc, your vitamin C, and your D3. Those
vitamin D3.
D3. They are over the counter. They are not expensive. In fact, I wish I had like money from a nonprofit that I can give to people, because that saved me and my husband, having worked with people all the time. And if you can drink that with lemongrass tea, even better. Anything that would boost your immunity. So the extent that your body respond, and catch these things will be, you will not, it will be less when you have your immunity, up. Don't play with those vitamins, because it could be a determinant between life and death. So as people are mingling as well, take those vitamins and, get vaccinated and still social distance.
Yeah, that was a great way to end our session today. Thank you so much, Lola, for what people should do going forward. And thank you so much, all of you, for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.